U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE Director Tom Homan recently hinted at the possibility of taking legal action against the leaders of sanctuary cities in response to President Donald Trump's executive order aimed at limiting federal funding to jurisdictions that refuse to cooperate with immigration enforcement. This executive order has ignited significant controversy as it threatens to defund sanctuary cities for their policies on illegal immigration and their refusal to fully enforce federal immigration laws. Homan's remarks have sparked widespread speculation and drawn considerable attention from both critics and supporters of the sanctuary city movement. Although he did not explicitly announce that arrests would be made, his comments raised the prospect of significant legal consequences for local leaders who defy federal immigration policies. The uncertainty surrounding Homan's statement has left many wondering whether ICE will take more aggressive action in its enforcement practices or if the federal government will resort to other measures, such as withdrawing funding from sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities are jurisdictions that have enacted policies limiting the extent to which local law enforcement will cooperate with federal immigration authorities. These cities argue that such policies help protect immigrant communities and foster trust between local law enforcement and residents, regardless of their immigration status. Proponents of sanctuary cities claim that these policies are crucial for ensuring public safety by allowing undocumented immigrants to feel safe reporting crimes without fear of deportation or retaliation. On the other hand, critics of sanctuary cities, including President Trump and many Republican lawmakers, argue that these jurisdictions are undermining federal immigration laws and creating a safe haven for individuals who are in the country illegally. They contend that sanctuary cities obstruct federal immigration enforcement and put communities at risk by shielding undocumented immigrants from legal consequences. The debate has become particularly heated in recent years, with both sides offering sharply contrasting views on the role of local authorities in enforcing immigration laws. President Trump's executive order calls for the reduction or elimination of federal funding to sanctuary cities that do not cooperate with immigration enforcement. The order also includes a directive for federal agencies to identify jurisdictions that are in violation of federal immigration policies. Sanctuary cities that fail to comply could face significant financial penalties, which has raised alarm among local governments that rely on federal funds to support essential services. Critics of the executive order argue that such measures could disproportionately impact vulnerable communities, particularly those in need of federal assistance for healthcare, education, and housing programs. In the wake of the executive order, Homan's comments suggesting potential legal action have raised the stakes in the ongoing debate. While no official announcements have been made regarding arrests or other enforcement actions, the suggestion of legal consequences for sanctuary city leaders is likely to escalate tensions between federal and local governments. Homan has made it clear that ICE is committed to enforcing federal immigration laws and will not hesitate to take action against those who impede that effort. However, it remains uncertain whether ICE will follow through with more drastic measures, such as arresting local officials, or if they will focus primarily on withdrawing federal funds from non-compliant jurisdictions. The legal implications of such a move are complex. Many sanctuary cities argue that the federal government is overstepping its authority by attempting to dictate local law enforcement practices. Local governments have long maintained that they should have the autonomy to set their own policies based on the unique needs and circumstances of their communities. Critics of the executive order argue that it infringes upon states' rights and undermines the principle of local control over public safety matters. Moreover, some legal experts question whether the federal government has the constitutional authority to withhold federal funds from sanctuary cities. While the Trump administration's order is aimed at withholding grants and other financial support, some argue that the federal government cannot legally force local governments to comply with its immigration policies, particularly when the policies are not directly related to the funding in question. The outcome of any potential legal battles over this issue will likely have far-reaching consequences for the relationship between federal and state governments in the future. Beyond the legal questions, the executive order has significant implications for the immigrant communities living in sanctuary cities. Many immigrant advocates argue that the policies in sanctuary cities provide essential protections for undocumented immigrants who may otherwise be vulnerable to exploitation or abuse. They contend that removing protections for these individuals would only serve to create fear and mistrust within communities, further alienating immigrants from local law enforcement and potentially making it more difficult to investigate and prosecute crimes. The controversy over sanctuary cities also raises questions about the broader issue of immigration reform in the United States. As the country grapples with a complex and often contentious immigration system, the debate over sanctuary cities highlights the deep divisions that exist over how to handle undocumented immigration. Some argue that comprehensive immigration reform is needed to address the root causes of illegal immigration, including economic disparity, political instability, and lack of opportunity in many countries of origin. Others contend that stricter enforcement of existing laws is necessary to ensure that immigration policies are respected and that the nation's borders are secure. The sanctuary city debate is also a reflection of the growing polarization in U.S. politics, particularly as it pertains to issues of immigration and border security. Supporters of sanctuary cities argue that their policies are a reflection of humanitarian values and a commitment to protecting vulnerable populations, while opponents view them as a challenge to the rule of law and an affront to American sovereignty. As the debate continues to unfold, it remains to be seen how the legal and political battles will play out. In the coming months, the Trump administration is expected to continue its push for stricter immigration enforcement, including actions against sanctuary cities. While Homan's statement has raised the prospect of legal consequences for local officials, it is unclear whether the administration will follow through on such threats. What is certain is that the debate over sanctuary cities will continue to shape the national conversation on immigration, with significant implications for both local governments and immigrant communities across the United States. As the situation evolves, it will be important to monitor how sanctuary cities respond to the threat of defunding and potential legal action. Local governments will need to weigh the political and legal risks of challenging federal policies against the potential benefits of protecting immigrant communities. In the meantime, the broader debate over immigration policy, federalism, and local autonomy is likely to remain at the forefront of U.S. political discourse.